As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the weekend?
I had to go with OU men's hoops. Really, really nice job. They got the dub over a pretty solid USC team. We're athletic, man. We're athletic, much more athletic than we were a year ago. Um, I thought it was awesome watching McCollum mix it up. I mean, there's a lot of like highly recruited, highly thought of players on USC's basketball team, and I thought McCollum was the best guy on the court. We were watching the second half of that game as we were doing post game, for the TCU game, and it was fun to watch. Man, we got a totally different team. It feels like than we've had the last couple of years. It stuck out how drastic the difference in athleticism has been between OU and a lot of the other Big 12 teams. And I feel like we've closed the gap.
I this is as excited as I've been to watch OU basketball in a while after seeing the Iowa game and then the USC game.
Yeah.
Going back to Jalen Moore's dunk against Iowa. It's the last time we've seen something like that.
Been a while. Been a while.
So that gets me excited, and not to disparage any of his past teams, but doesn't it seem like Porter Moser's just got like a new energy to him?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure like the situation has not been
It hadn't been
easy for
great.
Porter. Like as soon as he got here, he had to put together an entirely new basketball team from scratch during COVID, which was very difficult. And then after that year he's essentially had to build an entirely new basketball team every single year, which is hard to do. It's hard to, especially like with the system that he runs. He's kind of a system guy, a culture guy. It's hard to build and develop any of that whenever you're turning over an entire roster every year. So this is a big year for him. Hopefully they find some stability. And I mean, the way it looks right now, and I know this conference is going to be hell, but looks like we've got a solid basketball team.
One thing I really enjoyed watching them, and that's really the first two games that I've watched paying attention to it. I like that they play hard, dude.
Yeah.
I can get behind a group that plays hard. And now they play hard and they got some athleticism to them. Are they a long, rangy big man away from making some noise in the Big 12? Most likely. Yeah, probably. But I just think it's going to be a lot more entertaining to watch. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited for some OU hoops. Let's go.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Who do you have as your loser of the weekend?
Oh, Texas A&M. uh, I was so pissed last night whenever I saw all the reports starting to come through that looks like Texas A&M is going to hire Mark Stoops. It's like, oh my God, no. That's a great hire. They can't make a great hire, and I can't make fun of Mark Stoops and Texas A&M nonstop. This is terrible. Went to bed, woke up. I was like, yeah, that is the Texas A&M I know.
So, did you see Mark Stoops' statement?
I just saw I just saw the generic, I've got a great job here. I love,
Yes.
yeah.
Love my players like their family, best fans of the world. It sounds like he accepted the A&M job and it started getting leaked before the Board of Regents had approved said hire. And you know how it works at A&M, man. I guess a couple of the big money guys said, nope, Mark Stoops not good enough. And then they hired Mike Elko. Like Mike Elko has a better resume than Mark Stoops. And I know Elko was there not too long ago as the DC. I understand that. But it's hilarious that the fan base freaked out about Stoops, about Mark Stoops, and they're thrilled with Mike Elko. It makes no sense.
That makes zero sense. Um, like Mark Stoops is probably, when you think about it, the perfect hire for Texas A&M. I He's done at Kentucky exactly what they need at Texas A&M. Now, Kentucky has some limitations that when it comes to recruiting and stuff that you feel like Texas A&M wouldn't have. So whenever you combine what he's done, like his operation with some of the resources that you've got at Texas A&M, it looks like you've got a team that could consistently be a player in the SEC. But that's too easy, I guess.
He has taken Kentucky football to the most consistent level it's ever been at. And I guess that just is not good enough for the Aggie faithful. I think Mike Elko is a really good coach. I think he did a tremendous job at Duke. I I have zero doubt that he is a really good football coach. I just think what transpired there with the Mark Stoops situation is the perfect example of why that program's never going to get to where they think it's going to get. There's just, you got to deal with too much. There's I just don't think you can, and who knows what happens with Ross Bjork, the AD. I mean, he hired Mark Stoops and they said, you're not hiring him. That's what happened, it sounds like. So I don't know, man, but that is, how do you coach in an environment like that where people have that much influence? I don't know. It seems like it'd be really difficult.
Well, I think it's really difficult. Okay, I always talk about this. There's two types of coaches, right? There's football guys, and then there's like the the big personality, right? The big personality makes the hires, does the recruiting, you know, meets with the donors, does all of that stuff, excellent at it. Like that's the type of guy that is better in that kind of job than an X's and O's guy. An X's and O's football guy is like, why am I talking to this guy? Who is this guy? Get him out of my office. Do not let that person into our facility again, please. Right. And it turns into a bad situation. That's why, and I don't know, Elko, he strikes me as a football guy. And that can be very difficult for those guys to try and maneuver in, man. It is. You got every Tom, Dick, and Harry that's given a check to the university telling you who you should play and when you should play them, and they demand that these players are on the field. And I really don't know how it goes there behind the scenes, but I know whenever you write big checks, you feel like you should have some influence over the program. That's typically how it works.
I know that it's difficult to lose the number of games that they've lost over the last couple of years with the amount of talent they've had on that roster. It's hard. They've had a bunch of NFL players on those teams. So I'm interested to see how it goes under Elko. But the Mark Stoops thing was so strange. Oh, we love Elko. Mark Stoops, no. It was such an intense reaction to them trying to hire an awesome football coach.
Hey, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, maybe it ends up being maybe the Texas A&M faithful ended up being right. We'll see.
I personally, here's what I think. They'll be an 8-5 program like they always have been. That's me.
Yep. All right, let's get to my winner and loser. But first,
Elevate your tailgate with Chapel Supply and Equipment in Oklahoma City. Chapel Supply and Equipment has generators and inverters on hand that'll give you all the power you need so you can take your tailgate to the next level. They've also got top-of-the-line heaters to keep you warm during those cold tailgates later in the season. They're Oklahoma-owned and operated. Elevate your tailgate by calling 405-495-1722 or visit chapelsupply.com. That's CHAPPELL supply.com.
And First Fidelity Bank knows how to keep fans like you happy. With more than 50 awards in the last 5 years, including Forbes Best in State Bank, the Oklahoman's Community Choice Awards, and the Journal Records Reader Rankings, it's clear that they are Oklahoma's #1 pick for quality banking. And you can find that level of outstanding service in everything First Fidelity Bank offers. Open an account at an award-winning bank today at ffb.com. First Fidelity Bank, we go where you go.
And head to opolisclothing.com for our podcast merchandise and the best OU gear out there. That's opolisclothing.com. Use promo code TED, T-E-D, for 10% off. That's opolisclothing.com. Use promo code TED for 10% off. Buttery soft and 10% off.
My winner of the weekend, Alabama.
Woo!
No better feeling than winning a rivalry game. You know it. You know it.
Wow.
I can't imagine on the road against your biggest rival what it feels like to win on a touchdown pass on 4th and goal from the 31-yard line. Just an incredible sequence there, and an absolute dart from Jalen Milroe to Isaiah Bond, and that's a heck of a catch as well.
Just threw it to a spot, just throw it to the back corner of the end zone, let him go make a play, and got the DB all turned around. I mean, whenever you're watching it, it's like, how could that happen? Because they don't show that he's probably just like running around in the end zone like this the whole time.
Yeah.
So just great execution on a very difficult situation.
I think Auburn rushed 2. Probably not what I would have gone with, but hey, it is what it is. That all got set up because of a muff punt. Did you see the clip of Hugh Freeze after the game?
Yeah, in the press conference that he thought it was his normal returner back there. Yeah.
Yikes.
Ouch.
Different zeros, Hugh.
He was
That's
like,
a large mistake.
I'll have to talk to so-and-so about that. I thought it was
weird. He was like, well, he must have taken himself out. Really? That's your first thought? So strange. That whole,
because I know a coach I hired didn't take him out.
That was such a strange answer. Everything about it was strange, but I mean, you had the bad snap. It was a -18. I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, center. No, center's nightmare. You're trying to go win the game. You have a bad snap at that moment. Just, oh no. And then what an exhilarating win for Alabama. Keeps all of their goals still alive. Now we'll see what it looks like against Georgia, but what an absolutely brutal way to lose a football game for Auburn. Oh my gosh.
I mean, what's the record now, Auburn? It's not great.
It's not great. What, 5-7?
Something like that. And that place was packed. I mean, there was not an empty seat in the house. The sideline
6-6.
6-6. Sideline was jam-packed. What an atmosphere. All of they had the drones buzzing around the stadium to give all those cool camera shots. It was like the coverage of that game was awesome.
Iron Bowl's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's like if awesome. OU Texas was played in Norman and in Austin.
Yeah. That was crazy.
It's a very big deal, but this game was the perfect example that college football makes no sense. It makes no sense. It makes no sense that one of the most talented teams in the country, in Alabama, has to win on a miracle play to beat a team that got blown out at home by New Mexico State a week ago. It makes no sense. But that's why it's the best. That's why it's the best.
That is why it is the best. It's crazy. Crazy, man. But that was awesome. What an ending. We were watching at my parents' house and we were going I don't know if anyone was going for Alabama or Auburn or what, but we were still going crazy in the living room. That was cool.
Did you see the clip of Herb Street and Fowler watching it in the booth before they called the Florida State game?
No, I didn't. I
Oh,
missed that.
it was awesome. They're just like punching each other. It was such a guy's reaction to a moment. It was pretty cool.
I
Now
did
I'm
see the
sure.
clip of Milroe demanding the Heisman Trophy.
I want it.
That's awesome.
My loser of the weekend. Rough one for Oregon State. My goodness.
Yeah.
You lose 31-7 to Oregon in the Civil War on Friday night, and then you lose your coach to Michigan State on Saturday. Jonathan Smith named the new head coach for the Spartans. He's an Oregon State alum. That makes the future of the program feel even worse, man. That's just, you get housed by Oregon and then you lose your coach who leaves his alma mater. That's a bad combo if you're a Beaver.
Bad combo, and it feels like you can chalk that one up to conference realignment, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way he's leaving from Michigan State if the Pac-12 is still operating as it always has next year. I mean, I guess I could be wrong about that, but that's just the way it feels from my point of view. You hate that for Oregon State. It had a really good team this year, a fun team to watch. I heard people saying that the Michigan State job is not better than the Oregon State job. And I guess I don't know much about the Oregon State job, but the fact that they've lost their tie to a Power Five conference, and I don't know how that they're supposed to reach an agreement with, was it the Mountain West or whatever? I don't know how that's going to operate, but I have a hard time believing that Oregon State is a better job than Michigan State in the current environment. It's already difficult to recruit there. It's going to be even more difficult now.
No doubt. Looking at the game, Oregon State, I felt like the long touchdown from Nix to Troy Franklin right before the half to make it 21-7 was kind of a nail in the coffin. Because they're just not built to play from behind. They had to get away from the run game with Damian Martinez, and it wasn't effective anyways. Thought DJU was okay in the game, but yeah, that is, get beat by your rival, you lose your coach. The only other thoughts I have on that game is the neon green and the neon orange, very stimulating to watch on television.
Yes,
Gets
it
your
was.
attention. I know
Yes, it was.
exactly what game I'm watching when I turn that game on, which I appreciate. I hope they keep playing that game, and I hope they keep wearing those ridiculous jerseys, both of them.
It was a bunch of deer hunters playing football against some highway workers. That's what it
Yes.
looked like.
That's a great way to describe it. I think Oregon is capable of playing for a national title. I'm very impressed with that football team. I expect them to beat Washington in the
Agreed.
Pac-12 championship game. And the last thing on this one, did you see what the Oregon Duck Twitter account tweeted out?
I did not.
Dude, I did not think so. It was just a picture of the Oregon Duck and the Oregon State Beaver mascot, and they're both based in the field, and they just had their arms around each other. And the caption was, "Till next time."
Yeah.
And dude, I won't lie, it hit me right in the feels, man. I did not expect a mascot picture to make me emotional, but I was like, damn, we don't know the next time that game is going to be played. And it got me starting to think about Bedlam.
So they're not continuing that game?
No. And it just, I know why all the conference realignment took place, but just seeing that that picture, that stupid duck and that stupid beaver with their arms around each other. I don't know, man. It got me thinking, are we all doing the right thing here? You know, I don't know. I did not expect that reaction from two mascots embracing each other, but here I am.
I don't know. I don't know if we're doing the right thing or not. Probably not. We're probably not doing the right thing, but we're doing the inevitable thing. Once you have married yourself to the networks and the money, you don't have much of a choice.